What's up everybody, Pete here from the Sunday Drive, and today we are showing you how to install a fresh new AWE touring exhaust on your C7 Corvette, so stay tuned. So in front of me I have the AWE touring exhaust. This is the full catback exhaust with 3-inch mandrel bent pipes. As you can see, it comes with some brand new AWE exhaust tips. These are chrome. You can also get black diamond, which is a nice option, but I like the chrome ones. So everything you need for this kit is included. There are AFM simulator delete brackets, so you'll mount your AFM modules up to those so that the car doesn't throw any check engine lights. And the best part about this exhaust is that it is a straight through, but they use AWE's 180 technology. So this is a proprietary technology that they've engineered to cancel out any drone that would annoy you, so you get all of the muscle and none of the annoying drone to put you to sleep. They also offer a full track exhaust, but that can be a little extreme for most people, and be aware they do not allow refunds on that if you go that option. But the touring exhaust does sound great. I've heard many of them in real life, and we are super excited to put this on my car and get you some sound clips. So we're gonna start under the car. You don't need a lift to do this job. Obviously it makes it easier, especially for filming purposes, but we're gonna go ahead and remove all these little 7mm and these T15s along the bottom, and then we'll move on. So after removing all those screws on the bottom, you might think that you can start working your way in the back and popping out this piece and this reflector. And that's where we went wrong the first time. You actually want to go ahead and remove the 10mm screws that are over here. So there's 1, 2, these are behind the license plate. And then there's 2 more down here above the exhaust tips. So if you remove all those, now you can really pull the bottom of the diffuser out and get your hand behind here to pop out this reflector. All right, so now after removing these 4 screws and everything along the bottom, you can see there's a lot more play. Even parts of the bumper up here are flexing. So we can use this to start to work our way from the outside in and remove some more of the trim. So I'm gonna get under the car and stick my hand up and over. And there's a bunch of tabs that you can release, but it is a tricky angle. And then there's a little hook here, there you go. So you have these clips right here that you can push out from the inside. And then you have this clip right here down the bottom that holds the diffuser into the bumper. You don't actually need to remove this piece from the diffuser because it's attached to it, so it'll come out with it. Now it's kind of tricky if you have bigger arms or if it's really cold and you have a lot of clothing on. I'm gonna stick my arm up here behind here, the diffuser, and release the clips. So I can get to the first 2 very easily. As you can see, I got the outer one. And you may be wondering why we're even removing this reflector. Well, GM decided to put 2 screws back here. So there's 4 screws total, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, that hold the diffuser to the bumper. So you actually need to take this off. All right, got the middle one. So as you can see, this is the orientation of the clips. This one's facing out, this one's facing in, this one's facing in. Take that off if it wants to come off. Now we can remove the 2 screws that were behind the reflectors. So now we're going to attempt to remove it all the way. I do see some clips. And then you can see what this clip looks like when I pop it out. So here's the clip. There's one on each side, on the outer side of the diffuser. So now we're gonna remove the clamps that hold the Xpipe to the mufflers. So go ahead and remove those with the 15mm. Now I'm going to remove the two 13mm bolts that hold the two mufflers together. Okay. All right, now I'll go ahead and remove the two 13mm bolts holding the exhaust hanger up. So now we're removing the mufflers. As you can see, the driver's side is removed from the Xpipe. So this is pretty much free. Before we totally remove these, we're gonna have to disengage the AFM electrical plug so that we don't rip the harness out with the mufflers. Now, if you have an aftermarket Xpipe, in my case, I have a Kooks Xpipe or Kooks. I had to start unbolting up the Xpipe. So these clamps are all loose. The reason was I just could not remove the muffler from the Xpipe without doing that. However, you're not supposed to need to do that if you have an OEM exhaust, so this step might not be necessary, and you should just be able to skip to the part I'm at now, where we're removing the muffler. So to remove this electrical plug, we'll have to disengage this lock. It's the little light gray lock right there. So pull it out a little bit and then go ahead and get a pick tool under the tab. And then you can pull up on the plug like so and remove it. There you go. All right, so now we should be able to slowly work this stock muffler out. And I'll show you where it was actually hitting to the point where I had to start loosening the clamps from the Xpipe. So all right here was hitting the motor mount. So I'll show you under the car now. So as you can see, based on what I just showed you, this is where it was hitting. It's hitting the transmission mount right on that bolt. All right, now we can remove the passenger side. Now, if you're at this point, or if you're trying to get to this point, I guess I should say, and you're unable to get the mufflers out, don't get too frustrated with yourself. We actually had to disconnect the Xpipe from the exhaust manifold. So, unfortunately, a little bit more work than we had hoped for. That's no fault of AWE at all. It's just the fact that we had an aftermarket Xpipe. That might just be the route you have to take if you want to get these installed. But now we're at the point where we can route the new pipe and also swap over the AFM delete brackets and hear how this thing sounds. Now, if your vehicle comes equipped with transmission cooler lines, they would be over here on the driver's side. And what you're supposed to do is use this provided heat shield AWE gives you, and you'll wrap it around the lines. And then you'll use the zip ties to also secure it. So we'll overlay an image of what that looks like in case you need to do that. Also, my car is not equipped with MPP valves. I did not get the dual mode exhaust, so you'll need to zip tie the harness out of the way. We'll also overlay an image of that. And then after that, you can go ahead and start transferring over the AFM valves. So this is the AFM valve. It's before the muffler and after the Xpipe. And this is intended to activate when you are in 4-cylinder mode. Now, I've coded that out using HP tuners, so it doesn't go into that mode anymore. If you're not tuned and you can't code it out with HP tuners or some other tuning software, you'll need to install a bracket that looks like this, and it will basically simulate the valve moving. So when you turn the car on, it's obviously going to initialize this motor and look for its setting positions, max and minimum, so that it knows that the valve is moving. Because if it doesn't move at all, then the car will register that as the valve being stuck. And if it moves too much, then it will register that as the valve being broken or not functioning properly as well. So this is intended to simulate that 180-degree rotation pretty much. To remove the old motor, just go ahead and use a 10 millimeter. So the next step is to remove this T20, and then we're going to flip this metal plate over. So go ahead and hold the plate. It's got to get enough leverage on it to break this bolt free. And then flip this over. So go ahead and install the plates like so. Let's go ahead and plug in the AFM modules. Now we're going to zip tie these out of the way of the exhaust. And here you can see how we zip tied the AFM modules up to the transmission. Now go ahead and install the bent portion of the pipe over the transmission. We found it easier to install from the front of the vehicle. Slide it over the top and slide it into the Xpipe. So the CH goes on the passenger side and the BJ on the driver's side. So now that we have the bent pipe installed into the Xpipe, we can start to put the Xpipe back up to where it should be, and then we can finish with the rest of the exhaust install. So I'm going to reinstall this exhaust hanger. I'm going to leave that a little loose so I have some adjustment. And something that we didn't show was removal of the stiffening plate. So obviously that is not here, but it's super easy to take out. Just remove all of the bolts along the perimeter of the plate. Now we need to transfer these exhaust hangers over. So this is a really handy tool that we have to go ahead and pull that off. Like so. And install it on your new exhaust. Go ahead and install the passenger side muffler. This has the number B88 and the letters DF on my exhaust. Don't forget to install your clamp. So we're going to install it so that the nut is facing the inside of the car and is on top. So go ahead and orient the clamp like so. And now we can start the 13 millimeter bolts that hold the exhaust hanger. And install the driver's side muffler. Now I haven't started snugging things up yet. I'm gonna eventually work my way from the front to the back to make sure that everything is aligned properly. But I wanna get the bolts kind of close to being tight so that when I get there, I don't have to struggle too much. And we'll install this AWE plate so that we know the proper spacing between the two mufflers. I wanted to spend the most amount of time on this part because I wanted to hopefully get as close as possible for when I put the rear diffuser back on so I don't have to make a ton of adjustments. But the clamps still aren't totally like killed tight. They're very snug, I would say. If I had to move some stuff around, I can still get some wiggle room. But the main thing is I wanted to make sure that all of the pipes are clearing and not hitting anything like the frame or the body. So now let's go ahead and throw this diffuser back on and see how the exhaust lines up. Now I'm going to test fit these exhaust tips. Let's see how it looks. So right now I'm installing the hardware for each of these exhaust tips. In order to tighten these on the exhaust, you're going to need to actually have the rear diffuser removed. And as of right now, I'm putting the end of the exhaust up to this slit, where this slit stops, and that's going to be my standard, so they all stick out the same amount. Now, based on the initial fitment, the driver's side was the lowest and the passenger side was the highest. I'm going to try, and I'm kind of limited by the exhaust hanger brackets over here. So this is limiting my height on the far driver's side, and the passenger side hanger is limiting my height on the far right exhaust. So I might have to make a compromise here and see how much adjustment I can get out of just the exhaust tips. We'll see how the final fitment looks. Now let's do one more test fit. So we've got the exhaust tips how we like them. They're looking nice and shiny, as straight as we can get them. And now we're gonna put the rear diffuser back on. After that, we'll get you a nice cold start, because we know that's why you're really here. And then we'll get you some nice B-roll too, so you can see how this looks all buttoned up. But let's get this finished up. All right, so there you go. That is how you install the AWE Touring exhaust on your C7 Corvette. We hope you enjoyed the audio samples that we gathered for your viewing pleasure. If you found this video to be helpful, please give us a big like and subscribe. By the way, everything that we used, all the tools and parts, will be listed in the description below. And if you go through our links, it does help us out big time. If you decide that you want to order this exhaust, feel free to order that through us. It would be very appreciated. And if you would like us to install this, it's a service that we could provide. So as always, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you here next time.